welcome to yet another episode of the Uliza Podcast. I am Lian Joki and I'm here with
Tom Gore.
He is my co-host, and together we'll be taking you through a discussion. As always, we are always bringing you exclusive interviews and a deep dive into trending stories. Today we are going to open this episode with a very good topic that is very important and dear to all of us. So listen in. Don't forget to comment on anything, any contribution. Thank you so much. Today's topic will be what school did not teach us. Yeah, what school did not teach us. We have grown up, tumekuwa tunataka kusoma sana, right? Primary school unaambiwa study hard. Secondary school is where you belong. And then you get to secondary school. Soma sana, you need the university. Nimesoma. Then here comes life after graduation. You are all stranded. Kwa sababu they didn't teach you about the life they wanted you to have. That's our discussion for the day. So what is it that school did not teach us? One, there is financial literacy. Two, they didn't teach us how to cope with emotions and well-being, our health, well-being. They taught us, yes, about biology and general health in terms of diseases, but they didn't teach us how to cope with stress, things like those, and that is what we are discussing today. So financial literacy.
Before even if you ask that, the first question you should ask yourself, is even school worth it?
You really don't have to go there.
So just answer me. Is it worth it?
No.
Why?
Okay. Because a lot of things that we learn in school, they are not really applicable in real life, because even career-wise, as you've studied in university, usome. And once you land at that job, it is going to take you time for you to adjust and again learn what you're supposed to do. In as much as you're qualified, lazima utaenda usome nafaa kufanya nini hapa.
Okay. Even whatever you're doing right now, you say school is not worth it. Even whatever you're doing right now, if it were not for school, haungekuwa naifanya. So I want you to answer that question again. Is school worth it? Hata hii kizungu naongea ungekuwa naiongea. Remember that.
Okay, school is worth it. And
Umechange.
I can't really say. Okay, it's still kuna worth in you studying, and there's a lot of things. I'd say that there are a lot of things that are left out in as much as we are going to school to learn to better our lives.
If I may answer that question, according to me, school is not worth it in third world countries.
In third world,
But in first class countries, school is worth it. Because the kind of curriculum taught in first class countries and third world countries is different.
Tell me how.
Third world countries, we are bombarded with a lot of knowledge for no reason. You, one person, you are taught about mitochondria.
Yeah.
Where does it apply in your life?
Okay, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I just know it.
What for?
No reason.
You see?
Yeah, there's no reason for
So
that.
in third world countries, the system of school in third world countries is not worth it. And we are taught about a lot of nonsense. We waste so many years being taught nonsense, which are not applicable in life, in real life situation. And what I'll say, school, lower primary, higher primary, lower secondary, higher secondary, is a little bit worth it.
In?
It gives you basic knowledge. Let me not even touch about secondary. Let me say primary is worth it. Primary school is worth it because it gives you basic knowledge, communication skills, reading, simple maths, and all that. But now when we get to secondary school education, it's all nonsense.
Because they take us too deeply into things that don't even concern us in our life.
Don't concern us in our life. So it's a wastage of so many years that we could have been taught so many important things in our lives.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So for me, school is not, secondary school, university is not worth it.
So what is worth it?
What is worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Basic education.
The primary school basic education.
Education is worth it.
From there, they should just teach us the life skills.
From there, I think If I was the president of this great republic, I would have changed the system to teach you technical things like I will advocate for technocrats, not learned people. Learned people are not productive, but technocrats are productive. Technocrats are people who are taught how to make things, build things. You see? But knowledgeable people are taught how to have a lot of nonsense knowledge.
To just be there.
You know a lot of information for no good reason. What is the binomial nomenclature helping you with right now? Okay, you know it's the naming system of living organism. And then what next? It's just binomial nomenclature. If you go now start working, you want to repair a phone, where will you apply that binomial nomenclature?
Where?
So I think when it comes to secondary education, they should introduce the technocrat side of education.
As major subjects, right?
As major subject. If you feel like you want to be an engineer or a phone fundi or a medical doctor, you should focus on that. You don't need to teach me biology when it's none of my concern. You don't need to teach me Pythagoras theorem, and I don't want to apply Pythagoras theorem in my life. You see?
Yes.
And education is very frustrating for people who have graduated.
I have seen it, but please explain it to us.
The system knows that these poor masses need to be tied to something. Wanakuwa wanalipa loan so that they can't be independent, because an independent society is an empowered society, and an empowered society is a society that you can't handle, you can't deal with them. They are way empowered. How will you deal with them? If it's voting, they will vote like elites. You don't want a whole community of elites. You're a system runner. You're a leader.
It's the world now.
You see, that's a very bad system. So education, for me, education is the most pathetic thing that ever happens to us in our lives. It's a good thing in first-class countries. So if it were for my wish, if I was to take my kids to go for school, I will take them in a first-class country. Not in Kenya, not in a third world country. Because in a third world country, there's a system to keep me poor. And poor people value education a lot.
True. Am I calling myself poor? True.
Of course, poor people value education a lot. And you feel like if you don't go to school, you are doomed.
And you're failed.
You failed.
Yeah.
You see?
And it's funny how I study and I have not been taught how to look for a job. But that person who has not studied, survival instincts have already kicked in, and I know what to do in this situation, not do in that situation, how to manage this kind of money, how to do, this and that without kuuliza kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe ashajifunza.
Of course, the years that you're wasting in university paying a lot of money, him is on the fields, is maneuvering, is surviving, survival instinct.
And building
networks. School doesn't give you the networks. You see? But for me, I think wealth and adulthood. Wealth and adulthood is built with the people you meet. So if I was to go to school, I would go to school for socializing.
For socializing?
Yes. I want to know how to socialize with people.
Okay, isipokuwa language.
Maths
is basic, and you
that's
so much for primary school.
I just need to know how to calculate my money. Nothing else. I don't need to know Pythagoras theorem. I don't need to know vectors. What am I going to use vectors to apply in life? Where? I just need to know that you've sent me 1,000 shillings and I need to pay someone 2,000 shillings. So I have a deficit of 1,000 shillings. So I have to look for 1,000 shillings elsewhere. So I'm on a negative 1,000. That's the only basic math I need to know. I don't need to know how to use a ruler and draw. I don't want to be an engineer. I don't want to know these circles are radius of 2 meters. Where is that applying in my life?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. But I have been programmed to know it. And the reason why third class countries are still lagging behind is the system of their education.
But it was introduced to us.
Yes, by the white man, because he knew these people need to be taught this thing, need to be programmed like this. But generations are changing. This was a system that our forefathers were being taught. Why should we continue like that?
Yeah.
And I want to give you a very good example of a certain president. His name is Mao Deng.
Oh.
He was the president of China in the 1970s. China in the 1970s, China was a very poor country. Very poor than Kenya. You see?
The Great China.
Great China was very poor than Kenya. And then this president goes to the US. He went to ask for Msaada, just like the way our Ruto goes to ask for Msaada. But when he got to the US, he was perplexed with how things were working. The boys were on computer, industrialization was taking roots, things were happening, roads were happening, things were happening. And when he went to the White House, instead of asking for the donation he needed, he requested the president to allow his students, for him to import students from China to go learn in US.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And when he went back home, he gave conditions to the students. We are taking you to go learn different skills in different areas of life, specialization and division of labor.
Yeah.
And the condition was after finishing your studies, you had to come back to China. And you could get employed with the government for a certain period of time. Sorry, you see? And that's how China made a revolution of the economy. Now China is a first-class country doing better than even America.
America, they sought help from.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
But when our president goes to the US, what does he do?
Tunaomba pesa.
You see? So our education system is messed up by the system itself.
Yeah. The system itself is messing us up.
It's messing us up. So we are a bunch of fools growing up thinking that we are
Elite.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
But we are not being productive. We depend on everything. We import mpaka food.
The food we can grow here.
We import mpaka food, mpaka grains. We import everything. Tunaomba msaada usiku na mchana. And we have an education system that can teach us how to industrialize ourselves and to be more productive.
Yeah.
You see?
And that's the whole point for education, right?
That's the whole point for education.
But hatuambii that's the point for education.
Wewe unaambiwa soma utafute kazi. Wewe mjinga, soma utafute kazi.
Ni kama kusoma ndio guarantee ya kazi.
Lakini unajua maskini caught up in the rat race, hataki kufikiria. Maskini ya kwanza akikuja, serikali ikikuja hapa, the president who is from your tribe, when he comes, tosha. You are not even driven by their agendas.
Ni wa kwenu.
When wa kwenyu. You see? But they are messing the education systems. So education is not worth it in third world countries. It's keeping us fools. What did you study in school?
In my university.
Mm-hmm.
Media.
What?
Oh, journalism specifically.
How to talk.
Yeah.
You were taught how to talk. Yes. And you paid a lot of money for it.
Mm-hmm.
While others in China right now, kindergarten kids are being taught how to make phones.
In kindergarten.
Kindergarten kids are being taught how to make phones.
Hours are sleeping.
Hours are being taught how to do. You get my point?
Yeah, I do.
Our system.
It doesn't allow early childhood development.
It doesn't have us to develop skills that we need to industrialize our systems.
Okay, so pause on that. Comparing the 844 system and CBC, is there any better?
There's no difference. They have just spiced up the icing
With
with more difficult terms, CBC. Nothing. Back nowadays, we used to study art and craft, we used to study music, we used to study home science. It's the same thing that I've introduced right now. There's nothing. It's just the same ship in a different skill. You see? Sasa wewe unaenda shule unasoma. Haya, wewe soma. Alafu. So education it's worth it. It's not that it's not worth it.
it is.
It's worth it to a certain limit. But past that limit, you don't need it. Past high school, I don't think you need education. Because the thing you're going to major in, if you come from a rich community or a rich family and studying a specific area of life, it might help you. But again, it ties you to the poor because you have to pay for the loans. If you don't come from a rich family, you have to keep on paying for the loans, help, and you will get employed. The employment won't give you a 6-figure, which means by the time you are even empowering yourself, you'll be in your late 40s.
Very late.
See? You'll be in your late 40s.
Yes.
While you are being led by people who haven't gone to school. They have all bought their certificates.
Yeah.
You see?
Just because education is deemed important for you to be there.
Of course.
They have to do that.
Of course. These people know that education is not everything. These people know this. But again, remember, they come from rich families. Their parents had already worked for them. So they did not need that education. They just got those papers because it was a necessary thing to be a leader. They don't apply any skill they have gone to school to learn in there. And their children are taken to first-class countries.
To learn from there. We are losing so much, Basi.
Of course, we are losing.
We are losing so much with this education.
But do the big masses know it? Mm-hmm. They don't know it. They don't know it. But don't worry. At least now, the good thing with what you've acquired, the good thing with papers, is that now you have a different status quo in the society.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but that's the only advantage you have over other flaw.
I don't see where the problem is in apprenticeship because it was there before education. Unaenda unaangalia mtu akifanya this for a while and then you now start doing it under their watch and then after that you're perfect, you're good to go, you can handle the work by yourself. Kama ni kupika, if it's being a doctor, okay, for that you have to study, but apprenticeship can still apply. Engineering, media and its relations, PR, as you said, as in anything, by observing and being taught as you're observing. That is the thing.
If you say for you to be a doctor, you have to study, I would say that's a lie too.
Why?
Because even before these white men came, we used to get sick and we were being treated.
Yeah. I won't disagree.
We heard even before they came. You see?
But is it applicable right now?
Why is it not applicable? Tulikuwa
tunapona, yes, but tushasahau what we used to do.
Ni juu hiyo education haiku passed down to this generation.
Also,
likuja tukapatiwa ingine. Ni so many.
Also, we were corrupted.
Yes.
Wow.
So, for me, I have an option. A different option from education. You get a mentor. Mentor in whichever aspect of life you want to, in whichever career you want to pursue. Someone who is already doing it.
But in this life, will you be mentored? Okay, in our current world, will you be mentored without a fee? Okay, there are good people out there, and they're going to give you what you need.
You see, if you bring that fee story in it goes back to education.
Yeah.
That means you should go back to school. I'm not telling you to go back to school to learn. Look for a mentor who is already doing whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then just...
That is how life was back then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Copy him. You have basic education. Copy him. Tell him to teach you a few tactics of life here and there. And study on your own. The greatest minds in this life never went to school. Like the likes of Einstein's. They studied on their own. You see, the likes of Nikola Tesla. They studied on their own. Every knowledge you need in this world is not in schools.
Documented just in...
It's documented everywhere.
Yeah.
Great minds read a lot. And the world has become a place where you can access anything in the internet. There's tutorials to everything in the internet. And they are for free.
Exactly everything.
And they are for free.
The premium teacher.
And they are for free. You see?
But who is going to tell our parents that?
Nobody will tell our parents.
See?
Because they have been told that wewe lazima upeleke mtoto shule, ukue maskini, uchukuange pesa yako, uchukuenge malon. Usipai ukue mtajiri wewe. And education keeps our poor families poorer. Because it's a system. It goes in circles and circles and circles. So maskini wanachukua mpaka malon, wanafanya mpaka maharambe.
Yeah.
Unaona?
Wapeleke mtoto for something that won't even help them in the future.
Ukifanyiwa harambe upatiwe hapa milioni. Fanyiwa harambe upatiwe hapa milioni. Unajua hiyo pesa unaweza fanya nao biashara inakaa aje?
Mimi siwezi fikiria.
Ni juu hujaprogramiwa kufikiria hiyo biashara utafanya. Wewe umeprogramiwa ende usome.
I no longer have the intelligence for me to think by myself.
That's why I've told you.
To memorize.
That's why I've told you, people who have gone to school think they are intelligent. But they're the dumbest people on earth. You get?
Yeah.
Hapa town unapatana na watu wamebeba certificate. Wanatafuta makazi. Si ni watu wamesoma?
Sana.
Ukiona watu Fibas imeita watu wawaita. Watu wamejaa pale kwa akina nani?
Wamesoma tu.
Sasa kwa difference yako na hao the same watu wako kwa line wenye wajafika hata class 2.
There's no difference. I think we should treat life as our own teacher.
But like I've told you, education is worth it in first-class countries, not third-world countries.
What is it that the first-class countries have that we do not have that makes education at their place better than here?
The systems. Now you see in Kenya, education from primary to university is paid for.
Yeah.
In first-class countries, they don't pay for education.
Yeah.
It is 0 shillings until you get... In fact, when you get your master's and start your PhD, this system pays you.
For you to study.
For you to study. But in third world countries, it's the opposite. And we want to compete with these people.
There's no way we can even manage to be quarter of what they are right now is continue.
Yeah. But now you see this, our system, the government provides education and we still pay the government to give us our basic right.
Okay, now that you say it, it all makes sense. It's all coming together. It's all understandable. I can now see the flaws in the system in as much as I was praising it like no man's business.
That's why we need a revolution in this, to be specific in this country. We need a revolution and a serious revolution.
In terms of what school did not teach us, do you think that social responsibility, like how I talk to people professionally or friendly, how I handle people, is that a skill that I should learn in school or that I should learn just by myself?
There are things that nobody will ever teach you, like how to relate with a human being. Nobody will ever teach you how to relate with me. It's not teachable. Sasa utaambiwa ati ukitaka kupiga story na Tom unafaa upige hivi. Those are basic skills. You don't need education for that. But you need education for something like psychology.
Yeah.
Psychology is finding the balance in between handling people. Because every day you meet crazy people and you meet wise people. So with a little intelligence, you will determine who is the right person to hang around and the wrong person to hang around, which most people don't know, you see. But again, there is life education. Life just gives you an education of its own. You know? The more you grow up, the more you will know how to even handle people. Because psychology is something we live with every day. It's something we live with every day.
Because we are always around people.
You're always around people. And if you can know yourself, you can know the next person next to you.
Yeah, if I can know myself, I can know the person next to me.
Yes.
So it all starts from me.
Yeah.
Lazima nijijue kwanza.
Lazima nijijue. Vile unaweza taka kuhandoliwe, ndio mwenzako ako kando yako anaweza taka kuhandoliwe. Unaona? Vile unaweza taka kutritiwe, ndio huyo the same person mwenye ako kando yako anataka hivyo.
That's all psychology.
Unaget? And the only difference comes now in status quo, where your background, where you are raised in. But if you are raised in a medium society, in a middle class society, no, every person from a middle class almost thinks like you and behaves like you.
Yeah, because we are of the same group.
You are of the same status quo. And unless you go, you will know how to deal with poor people unless you go live with them.
Yeah.
And you'll know how to handle rich people unless you go with them. But again, education comes and tells you that you should be a slave to your masters.
It does tell us that.
Which means when you go to rich people, we are programmed to always behave in a way towards them. But when you're smart enough, you will know you guys are the same people, just vibrating from a different frequency of life. You see?
Yeah.
They are just rich and you're just poor, or they're just rich and you're just middle class. And they don't know whether you are middle class unless you tell them.
It's all about psychology and how you approach them.
Mindset.
Being ukijielewa, utawaelewa, and you know how to approach them.
Everyone.
Okay, what school did not teach us? What skill do you need? Okay, what number of skills do you think the school should incorporate into its systems to saidia in life?
First of all, psychology. We should be taught psychology in primary school. But you see, they have made it a major in universities. Primary school. Another thing school should teach us is not how to be slaves and masters.
How to be your own person.
How to be to improve your own self. How to master your own skills. How to identify your skills. And another thing school should not teach us is religion.
Wow, on that, why?
Because religion is brainwash. You are taught that if you don't do this thing, you are forced to know that if you don't do a certain thing, you will go to hell.
They have already created that
fear in you.
Yeah.
So, and human beings, once you fear a lot, you won't have the courage to always try things.
Plus, once we have fear, they have complete control.
It's political. It's political. Religion should not be taught in schools. Leave it for the churches. Siari ni ya nini?
Na tuko na kanisa.
Na mko na kanisa. Imagine how relevant is that? Where do you apply siari in your life?
Well, okay, I now see the sense in it. Don't ask me that. I now see how much it makes sense. Watch siari kanisa. Technical skills should be taught in school.